The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Janet Adams, the technology advocate and artificial intelligence expert. You have over 25 years of experience working in the financial services industry, where you held senior positions at RBS, TSB, and HSBC. Today, you are the Chief Operating Officer of SingularityNET, where AI and blockchain technologies are combined to create the world's leading decentralized AI marketplace. Here, you've led a number of high-profile AI and blockchain initiatives in robotics, biotech, gaming, and the metaverse. Your latest project, Zarqa, is a supercharged, intelligent, neural-symbolic large language model at massive scale and promises to take on OpenAI's ChatGPT, but also go much, much further. You believe that your advanced neural-symbolic AI techniques will revolutionize and disrupt every industry, taking a giant step towards artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Ultimately, your goal is to realize a positive and beneficial singularity for the good of all humanity, and that SingularityNET will build sentient beings of the future to be loving, caring, compassionate, inclusive, and democratic. Janet, welcome to London Real.
It's marvelous to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me, Brian, and thank you for such a beautifully accurate summary.
I am super excited to have you here today. AI is moving exponentially, and it feels like the speed of light. We got so much to talk about, and it feels like we have so little time. I just want to say, before we get started, if anybody is interested in learning more about your new project, Zarqa, they can go to londonreal.tv/Zarqa, that's Z-A-R-Q-A, to request some more information. We will be investing in Zarqa through London Real Ventures, and like I said, anyone can go to londonreal.tv/Zarqa to learn more. Let's jump into it. 4 months ago, OpenAI's ChatGPT launched, and because of it, I would say the world now finally understands the game-changing power of AI. You've been in this field for many, many years. What do you make of this ChatGPT moment? As far as, in your mind, Janet, what is it, and also what is it not?
It's a catalytic moment where humanity is starting to realize the power of artificial intelligence. We've had AI hype cycles for decades. There's been a huge amount of promise. When I first started studying artificial intelligence in 2017, I was working full-time in banking at the time, and there was a major hype going on the back of some great breakthroughs on Siri, some DNNs, deep neural networks, technologies really taking AI forwards. And at that time, we thought in financial services that by 2023, AI would be running a huge amount of the industry. But actually, that promise has not fulfilled itself. And that's due to a number of different reasons. Data sets, it's due to regulatory constraints, it's due to education, because AI is quite hard technology. It's quite difficult maths to understand. And in large organizations and in government bodies and in regulators, that level of understanding isn't really there in order to be able to adopt and use AI at scale. And then fast forward to January 2023, when OpenAI released ChatGPT, suddenly here is a working technology that in some cases and for some questions can approximate a human level single intelligence on a single question, right? It can answer really smartly. It can simulate, and it does simulate, huge volumes of data from across the internet, runs statistical methods on it to be able to predict, like a memory model, to be able to predict what would come next. GPT-4 went multimodal, so it now includes images as well. And generally, I was speaking with one of the large consultancies last week, there's a held belief that ChatGPT can bring an 8% or so productivity improvement to industry and to businesses. And what business wouldn't want that? Brian, you and I both have a passion for SMEs, particularly UK SMEs and small medium enterprises who are out there working hard every day to put food on their children's tables. 8% productivity for a technology that's relatively easy to use. That's a huge boost to the economy. It's a huge gift, really, to businesses and industries. So it's a watershed moment for humanity. It's the realization that AI can be used, can be harnessed and utilized in tools that ordinary people can use, that hotel cashiers can use, that receptionists can use, that any kind of marketers that can use, that any call center can use, any sales, online sales channels can use. Its uses are very, very widespread. However, there is, to your point, what is it also not? Whilst being in some ways incredibly clever, and I do pay homage to the great scientists who have worked with these giant, large neural networks in order to create the technologies like ChatGPT, as well as being in some ways phenomenally clever in that they can take huge amounts of data, they can replicate what that data might say or do or create. They have no actual creative powers. They have no reasoning capability. They have no knowledge. Their reproduction, their output, is simply based on pattern recognition from the past. And if those patterns aren't accurate, because it has no knowledge grounding, then it doesn't know it's not accurate. So it can spout random bullshit. And the reader may not be aware that it's spouting inaccurate facts. It certainly is not aware. It has zero self-awareness. So as a tool for humanity, its usefulness is highly constrained by its random error rate, I guess, and its inability to know when it's making errors. And then if you think we've both worked in financial services industries, right? The past is not exactly a guide to the future. The future, and this is one of the things which is so special about humans, we're continuously evolving socially, and we're continuously creating new thought patterns, new ways of being, new philosophies, new inventions. A ChatGPT cannot do that. A ChatGPT or any of the large language models, large memory models, large image models, whatever you want to call them, they cannot evolve and create new outcomes for humanity. They're stuck in the past. And who wants to be stuck in the past when we're at the brink of the greatest breakthrough in the whole history of our species into greater, new, artificial general intelligent beings that can dramatically transform what it means to be human?
When we were sat down and talking, you mentioned this the red car test. I was wondering if you could explain that to people, because I ended up repeating it to other people because it kind of explained what you just talked about, the limitations of the LLMs.
Some of the limitations of the LLMs. There are many other limitations as well. So if we were to ask a large DNN, transformer neural network model, identify a red car, from images presented, identify a red car. What the model would do, it would go back through its history, through its data sets, and it would perform a matching process to see, does this image match what I have in my history, in my training data set? And so that's how it will recognize a red car. Have I seen red cars before? They've been labeled, and this is how I can match it. With our advanced neural-symbolic techniques, with our knowledge graphs and dynamic knowledge graphs, our AI particularly when we infuse it with these large neural networks in our Zarqa project, we'll stop and think, what is the concept of redness? And what is the concept of a car? And how do I put these together to identify a red car? And this gives it the ability to be much more creative, to deal with ambiguous types of red cars of different shapes, red cars that don't simply pattern match red cars of the past. And that analogy can be applied to any question that we would ask a Neural-Symbolic infused large memory model, large language model, large image model. It enables the model to work with new data, to work with new situations, to deal with ambiguity and a continuously evolving creative humanity, because humanity is not still and is not static. And it will have the ability to generalize across domains. So take a word like rhythm. A large memory model might understand rhythm in the context of music, but would it be able to generalize rhythm to the rhythm of the seasonal patterns of an SME in Northern England? Will it be able to apply words from one domain into a separate domain, which we call domain shifting? So we may have a nice rhythm in music, then we have a rhythm in stock markets, we have a rhythm in sleep cycles. Different words, individual words, have different meanings in different contexts. And a chat GPT or a large language model has no ability to complete that domain shift across domains and to be able to generalize knowledge learned in one domain to knowledges in other domains, thereby making, with domain shift ability and general intelligence abilities, the ability to reason and the ability to conceptualize, suddenly the possibility becomes open to us of creating an entire world model, and an entire world model where behaviors in that world can be programmed, can be learned, can be trained, can be generated by our artificial general intelligent agents of the future. Very, very different to simply repeating old patterns.
Right, and this is something, AGI is something you've been studying at SingularityNET since its inception. And you know, we've had Dr. Ben Goertzel here, your chief scientist. He was here in the studio, I think in 19, and then back on the show a couple months ago. And he was very particular about saying that these large language models, just like you repeated, they're great, but they're very narrow. So they do an amazing job of pattern recognition and based on the past, predicting the future. But they're not a road to nowhere, but they're just a road to narrow AI. And for your company, and then I guess the future of Zarqa, where Ben has a role as well, is that you're looking for this AGI, this artificial general intelligence, where it can think and it can reason and it can do more. I think a lot of people still struggle between those differences. They see the ChatGPT model, but in your mind, that as that evolves, it just becomes a very, very good narrow AI. But to jump that gap and bring AGI, that seems to be your specialty at SingularityNET. It seems like everyone there has constantly, and from the start, been working on this general intelligence. And that is the future of sentience, and that is something that can reason and really become massively useful.
Really become massively transformative, absolutely. So yes, Dr. Ben Goertzel, my amazing boss, CEO of SingularityNET, chief scientist of Zarqa, actually coined the phrase AGI. He's been working on this research. I know you've had him twice on your show. He's been working on this research pretty much all his life. And one of the things, there are many things which are very special about Ben, and I count it a lifetime privilege to have the opportunity to bring his vision into execution as Chief Operating Officer at SingularityNET and co-CEO of Zarqa. One of the most amazing things with him, he's such a beautiful person, as well as a brilliant, brilliant scientist. He's got the most compassionate, most loving, most thoughtful, caring heart. And so because his vision is so bright and so optimistic, and because really, in my opinion, he's the greatest visionary leader on the planet today. not just in technology. His teams stay with him. His scientists stay with him. We have world-class scientists who are, they're beyond pay. Any big tech company couldn't pay these people to join them because they're driven by the passion, by the vision, by the future, by the amazing, intense imperative that SingularityNET will be the decentralized organization who creates artificial general intelligence in order to give humanity the best chance of having a positive reboot in our entire humanity. It's essential. So we have been working on AGI. Ben's been working on it all his life. I've been working at SingularityNET for 2 years, but I've been a SingularityNET supporter since early 2018 when I first learned about the project during my master's degree. And artificial general intelligence is completely different to narrow AI. We wouldn't say that ChatGPT or narrow AI methods would ever grow into becoming AGI. It's a completely different technology stack. Yes, narrow AI does have a role to play in artificial general intelligence, large memory models, but only a role to play. The technology stack which we're building with our distributed atom space, which is where we hold the world model, and our OpenCog Hyperon platform for integration of all kinds of AIs with each other, our neural-symbolic techniques, our dynamic knowledge graphs, together with large language models, we're dramatically optimistic that these technologies, which are becoming more and more mature day by day, will result in human-level artificial general intelligence within this decade. We're closer than most people think to artificial general intelligence.
And just for everybody out there, how do you define AGI? For the average person walking down the street, what does it look like?
Well, let's see, in a few years' time, the average person walking down the street may well cohabit, may well share, life harmoniously with artificial general intelligence beings. What will it look like? It could have any user interface. It may be speaking to you from your iPad. It may be, the user interface could be a humanoid robot. It could be a voice on a smart speaker on at a board meeting. But narrow AI is simply the ability to do one task with statistics: identify a red car, assess whether a particular applicant will repay their loan or not, identify what product you next want to buy on Amazon, or which ads you're most likely to click on in Google. Single individual tasks trained on human data with a known and understood error rate to do one thing. Artificial general intelligence is many types of AI algorithms working together in synchronicity against a world model. And I think probably one of the biggest differences is that narrow AI has a goal. It could be, identify whether or not a candidate is a good credit risk for a bank. It has a goal. What AGI will have is multiple complex goals in a real world life situation. Because in real world, Brian, life is never about just one goal. We're never trying to achieve one thing. There are inconsistencies. There are multiple stakeholders and shareholders whose needs need to be considered and involved. There are all of the beautiful diversity of humanity to serve with these tools. So instead of having, I guess for me, the biggest differentiator is that narrow AI has a goal where AGI is more purpose-driven, perhaps, or just broader and more sophisticated in its growth and expansion through all of the dimensions of life.
And the AGI can improve itself and can build upon itself.
It absolutely
And that's where it
will.
becomes very interesting and very scary. And maybe we'll talk about some of the scarier issues later, because the more I read, the more I have mini nightmares, and you can talk to me about that. I think this brings us into Zarqa, because this, I believe, is your solution. This is the project that will create the AGI. It will also put you right back into the game in competition with the narrow AIs and the LLMs like OpenAI. Tell me about Zarqa. Again, it's a supercharged, intelligent, neural-symbolic, large language model at massive scale. What is it?
Zarqa is the accumulation of decades of research from teams containing the best artificial intelligence scientists in the world. We have large language model capabilities and experience through our work with the Sophia robot, dating back many years when Dr. Ben Goertzel was the chief scientist of Hanson Robotics. We have a language model lab. We have multiple scientists with large-scale neural network capabilities. And this is really the industrial path of AI, the narrow AI path, the DNNs, the transformer neural networks, the large-scale language and pattern matching techniques, like many other companies in industry have, Google, Microsoft, etc. So we uniquely harness that expertise which we have in-house with our even more unique capabilities in neural-symbolic techniques and the deeply advanced mathematics that Dr. Ben Goertzel, Dr. Matt Ickley, Dr. Alexei Potapov, and our top scientist, Sergei Shalyapin, have been working on for decades. And so Zarqa is about bringing together, at this pivotal moment in history, as the AI revolution is really taking off, it's about bringing together our deep core maths, neural-symbolic, probabilistic reasoning capabilities with large-scale industrial, large language models, large image models, large multimodal models, and bringing the two together. So harnessing all of the techniques which the scientists at OpenAI have done such a brilliant job of training and progressing and developing, bringing all of those techniques, but infusing them with reasoning capability, with generalizing capability, with creative capability, with self-reflection capabilities, to create what will be the most powerful large models ever invented. A model which industries will be able to use, which companies will be able to use, because the controllability will be vastly enhanced. The understandability, the ability to train these models by humans will also be dramatically enhanced. And so, yes, we are building the most powerful large models ever invented. We're doing it with Zarqa. The company and co-CEO of the project, I'm working with Sergei Shalyapin, also as co-CEO. Sergei runs our large language model laboratory and techniques. We're basing the company in the Middle East. Middle East is a thriving environment for startups, for technology, and Middle East is ready for a giant, a tech giant.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.